All right, Corey, what's going on?
What's up, Ron?
How's your day?
It's gotten just better just about 8 seconds ago. I mean, I'm pumped to be here.
Good. Yeah, I know this is your favorite topic to talk about growing verticalized digital marketing agencies
That's true. That's true.
that are not founder led.
That were maybe once upon a time founder led, but when I'm done with them, no longer founder led. What's up, Paul? Good to see you, buddy.
Mr. Paul Munko TV is in the
Yeah.
chat. And Paul,
Awesome.
this is something that you should actually listen to. Really going to be really good information. And if you want to join us live, you can actually click this link if you would like.
It's a party.
Yeah. So, Corey, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, I was gonna say, quick fact. I'm not sure a lot of people know who I am yet, so you can introduce me. But I wanted to share real quick is back in the day when I graduated college, my best friend and I we raised $6 million to start a streaming media business back in the late 90s. I'm dating myself. And so I've been a fan of live streaming media forever. And so it's fun to be live on the web with you. There's always something, just an extra element to being live. So I'm excited to be here with you, Ruan.
That's excellent. Yeah. So, I mean, Corey, we met almost 2 years ago. And I found your website because of a LinkedIn post that you posted. And I don't know if at the time you had just left Scorpion or if there's been some time in between that. But I remember the moment I saw your website, you were speaking directly to me. And I remember feeling like you were the person that really understood exactly what I needed. Because at the time I was a huge Scorpion fan. And in fact, if I wasn't doing DevelopMark, I'd probably be applying to Scorpion because I just love the way they handle business, and you had a major role in that. So the moment you told me about what you did, you didn't even have to convince me. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember you sharing that what I was talking about online, and by the way, this is a great testament to the power of LinkedIn, right? Posting on LinkedIn can be really powerful. But yeah, I remember you sharing that you were familiar with my background, you're familiar with the last company I was with, how we scaled it from 20 million to 200 million, and then there was something in there that was intriguing to you and that you wanted to learn more.
Yeah, and I think what was so intriguing to me was like that scale has always been so overwhelming to me, right? Because I'm at 2 million, and so looking at a business that's at 200 million, I can't even imagine the level of skills you need to have. So. And so, yeah, we got Mr. Paul Munko. He'll be spectating. Paul, what's going on? How are you?
What's up, guys? Good to see you, Corey.
Yeah, likewise. Been enjoying your content on socials as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Keep him busy for sure.
Right, good. Good to see you.
Yeah, so Paul, you'll be a good part of this because Corey's going to go through some of his mastery and teach some of my subscribers how to really do this well from somebody who's looked at it at a huge bird's eye level. So Corey, I'm going to let you take it away. Just introduce yourself and tell the viewers what we're going to do today.
Sure, absolutely. So again, Ruan, thank you so much for having me on your channel and your show. Excited to be here. I'll give you a quick, everyone, just a quick background on me and why I'm here and why I'm talking. I've been in the agency space almost 20 years, which is just crazy to even think that and say that. I started off in sales, I was selling PPC and SEO to large retail brands like Lululemon, Remax, Hyundai, and I was the #1 sales guy at the agency that I worked at for 21 consecutive quarters, led the sales team, made my way into sales management, and then most recently, I was the chief marketing officer of a digital agency called Scorpion. And if you're not familiar, Scorpion was started in 2001, primarily focused on attorneys early on. And then I joined the company about 2015, at which time we were doing about 20 million in revenue. During my time there, before I left, we got to 200 million. We grew our client base from 1,000 to 14,000 clients during that time. We grew the company itself from 100 employees to 1,000 employees. Fun fact, we didn't have an HR department when I arrived. It was just part, the CEO's part-time job. By the time I left with 1,000 employees, we had an HR department of 4 full-time people, 4 people.
Wow.
And then we grew the sales force, of course, from 6 to 60. And so a lot of the work that we did was scaling the sales and revenue, obviously, of the company, retention, service levels, and all those other things. But today, what I want to talk about is a sales methodology that is really powerful for service-based businesses, certainly digital agencies who are eager to escape founder-led sales and also build trust in a sales process. So that's really what I'm here to talk about today. And I'll kick things off by just asking everyone here, or maybe on the replay, I'd love to ask you to just rate yourself in terms of how well do you or your sales team, if you're not the owner of the company, if you're on the sales team, or maybe you have a sales team, how well do you build trust with cold prospects?
So I'm going to call on Paul for that one.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think you rate yourself to cold prospects based on Corey's actual rating here?
Not sure if you can see that. Yeah. How would you rate yourself, 1 to 10?
Awesome. I would say cold's interesting, right? Because I don't approach a lot cold, so I'd probably put me right in the middle of 5. I feel like a lot of the times with our agency specifically, we're really focused a lot on hyper local, hyper targeted things that there's a lot of word of mouth that kind of introduces us. So there's usually like a little bit of warmth there. But if I was to go out tomorrow and just, go for a random cold prospect, I'd probably be right in the middle.
Yeah, right. Which is very, very typical for agencies and sales teams. When you get on a call with a prospect, maybe they found you from a Facebook ad, or they received a gift from you, or one of these types of cold approaches. They may be coming onto that sales call arms crossed, and it's your job to try and get them to warm up. And so 5 is very, very common, Paul, as far as where a lot of the people that I come into contact with, they're pretty good at building trust. Maybe they're good at small talk and chit chatting, but it's not a complete science yet. And that's where really what we're going to talk about today is going to be super impactful, hopefully for you, Paul, as well as anyone else who's enjoying this.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'll share with you, after having done this both at Scorpion, now I've been working with hundreds of agency founders and helping them to escape founder-led sales. There are a couple of areas where agencies really struggle with this sales conversation in, again, a cold context. And by the way, I'm talking about cold or non-referral based business, because we all love referrals, right? Referrals are amazing. We all want more referrals. We want to maximize referrals, but sometimes we cannot depend on referrals. In many cases, we can't depend on referrals because we don't have control over that. So that's why you see a lot of agencies, certainly the biggest agencies, are going outbound, and they're trying to proactively build relationships with sales prospects. So here are a couple areas where agencies struggle with sales. Number 1 is winging discovery. This is where you have maybe a charming founder like Ruan, or just a really charismatic salesperson. They got on these sales calls with a cold prospect. They just kind of wing it. They use their charm and their ability to think on their feet. And so the challenge, of course, is that shrewd buyers are going to know that they're kind of winging it. It doesn't really have it doesn't leave a great taste in the mouth. Another challenge that a lot of agencies struggle with when it comes to sales is struggling with commodity pricing. Getting on a sales call with some prospect and them going, okay, I know you guys do SEO and PPC and websites, but just tell me your pricing. Like how much do you charge, and so on and so forth. And you have to kind of try to find a way to increase the perceived value. So that becomes a big area for struggling. And then probably the worst one is when prospects ghost you, right? This is when you get them on a sales call and you say, great, have a great initial call, schedule a follow-up meeting, and then they ghost you, right? They never show up, or maybe they don't show up to the initial call. So if any of these things are happening to any of us, either the 3 of us on the stream, or anyone listening or watching, you're not alone. And this is exactly what I'm going to share today is going to help you to resolve all 3 of these specific problems. Thoughts on this one, Ruan?
I have a ton of thoughts, but I think most importantly, we have Kevin Zapula on the call as well.
Most
hello,
importantly.
Oh, hello, Kevin. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, man?
Last time I saw you, it was we were all in Connecticut together.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Something bones.
That's it.
Shell and bone.
Yeah, shell and bones. And I think you even picked up dinner, so I owe you one.
Yeah. It's compounding interest.
That's
What's
awesome.
going on? Word travels fast that there's a live webinar going on, and gotta jump on. Big CQ.
Yeah, I got the warm and fuzzies, you guys. This is like an A-list team here. This is awesome.
I don't think you were expecting this, Corey, right?
No, I'll take it though. I'll take it. Today Kevin. We're talking about sales. Exactly, Ryan. We're talking about sales and a repeatable sales process that does not require the founder to scale.
Which is your book, my man.
Yeah, it's my book. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, if you have any thoughts while Corey's going through his presentation, feel free to pop in and pop out.
Yep.
No pressure, though. Yeah, would love any insights from your perspective, Kevin.
I can't say it's something that for our size that it's 100% doable. I think as you get a little bit bigger, and I think at the end of the day, it boils down to being able to hire professional salespeople, whatever you want to call them. They're out there trying to gain more business. If they're professionals, they can represent the company as well as anybody else. And I think where I struggle with the most is when we get referrals, and we have a great referral network. And they know me, so they'll refer over John's Plumbing in Mississippi, and it's you don't want to be like, great, let me pass you off to somebody else.
Right.
That happens to me all the time also.
Yeah, of course.
And that's one of the things that I struggle with. So I engage a little bit. I think I'm practicing, and as I schedule the appointment with John's Plumbing Mississippi, I'll add in our VP of sales or something, and sometimes I will not make the meeting because something came up or one of those things. But it is that to me is always the most awkward part of it. And if we don't have a big sales organization, our struggle is not sales. We're backed up till February right now. I hate to say it. But I think as a company or an organization adds more and more salespeople to fuel the machine, your process for selecting them becomes a little bit less stringent to fill those seats. And I think that's where sometimes you end up with not the greatest sales. Sometimes people over-promising. Sales.
I mean, salespeople will do that regardless, but they're trying to hit quotas. So. And I think from what you're speaking to, Kevin, I think is very common in the agency space, where you have a founder that has a reputation. Maybe they're the face of the company. They when the clients refer or talk about the agency, they're typically talking about the founder. And of course, what happens is that the referrals, as you said, come in. They want to talk to the guy, right? And so one of the things that I teach agency founders on is in the process of stepping away from selling the founder and the name and the face of the founder and having that as being a requirement as part of the sale. What you want to do is you want to build a signature system. And we're actually going to talk about this a little bit. I've got some slides on this, but where you want to build a signature system, which is the thing that solves the problem, gets them across sort of the pain bridge, if you will, from a sales technology perspective, where it doesn't require the founder to sell it because the value that you're selling is the signature system. It's not the founder itself, him or herself.
Easier said than done. Yes, I agree.
All right, Corey, hit it. Keep going.
Okay. So jumping back in here, here's the opportunity. So We want to build a repeatable sales process that engineers trust. And by the way, that trust that is independent of the founder. Okay. We do not want to build a sales process that is founder dependent. So we want to be able to do that. Engineers trust every single time, sell at a premium price, and engage and enroll prospects so that they are emotionally engaged. And what I mean by that is that they're not just seeing this as a transactional commodity-based sale, but they're actually emotionally engaged in the conversation you're having with them from a sales perspective, and that you're able to really uncover some depth, some amazing context that communicates that you have something more than just a commodity solution for them. So we'll talk all about that here. My experience, having been in sales for as long as I have, sales and marketing, is that sales isn't about convincing. It's not about twisting people's arms to get them to sign on the dotted line. It's about earning trust faster than your competitors. Okay. I'm gonna give a quick analogy. So, Ruan, I know you're a big swimmer, but let's just say for a minute that you played soccer or, football, one of these where you're out in the field with your buds, and you're out there and you twist your knee. You unfortunately you tear your ACL in your leg. Okay. Of course, you got a problem on your hands. And so what do? Well, your buddies can pick you up and bring you over to the car and drive you over to the Minute Clinic at the mall, right? The local Minute Clinic. And what you're going to probably get there is people who are generalists, doctors and nurses and medical professionals, and they're gonna really want to help you out, but they're not certainly experts at solving or addressing ACL tears. Okay, that's option one. Let's talk about option two. Option two is your friends pile you in the car, your torn ACL, and one of them turns over the seat and looks back at you and says, "Hey, Ruan, I happen to know the orthopedic surgeon for the Lakers. Should I give them a call?" What are you going to say in that regard?
Well, I think the answer is pretty obvious. I'm going to pick the orthopedic surgeon that treats the Lakers.
Why is that? It's fairly obvious, but why is that?
Because the problem is exactly what I'm looking for. Very similar how I found you.
Yeah. Right, because they're a specialist. They're the best in the world. They're highly paid, highly sought after. They're not that available. You kind of have to know somebody, and a very few people get access to these people, right? And so the reality is that both offer knee surgery and will be happy to help you out, but one of them makes you think, this situation could get worse if I trust the wrong person. And that's certainly true of prospects, especially cold prospects who are not coming in from a warm referral. They're looking at you as just another agency, and they're wondering and they're worried psychologically and emotionally, like, gosh, if I say yes to this person, am I going to just end up in another 6 months without a lot of money, out a lot of leads, and I wish and wishing that I'd never made this decision. Of course, what we want them to feel is that if anyone can fix this, it is them, right? And so the reality is the world that we live in as agencies, in a very kind of red ocean where there's just so many options, that it's likely that even though each of us on this live stream and on the replay, it's likely that we have some really special talents and abilities to be able to help our clients and to help our prospects that are coming in. We know that, but they're more likely coming to us assuming that we are the Minute Clinic at the mall, which means that we're generalists, we're okay at what we do, kind of average and run of the mill. The challenge for us is, how do we, from a sales perspective, get them from seeing us as that generalist kind of average option to that true specialist? And that's the work we're going to be talking about today in the remainder of this live stream. My experience is that without trust, you'll always be seen as just another vendor. It's almost like we want to replace or repeat the kind of trust that a referral is coming in with, but they happen to be cold. So how do we create that kind of warmth, that trust, that connection that you're going to get, or you should expect from that referral? And that is based on this process I'm going to teach us here. It's called the 6-slide trust multiplier. My experience in sales tells us that there's not one sale that happens. This is especially true in high ticket sales, but it's true across the board. There's really 3 sales that have to happen. I see the chat there on the screen. So there's 3 sales that have to happen. Number 1, the buyer has to buy the salesperson. They have to believe that this salesperson is knowledgeable, understands their product, understands their situation, is asking good questions, and probably most importantly, isn't just going to tell the prospect anything that they want to hear just to get the sale. Like, they have to really believe that the salesperson is knowledgeable and caring and is going to take care of them. That's the first sale. The second sale is they have to believe and have to be sold on the company. This is super important because as a prospect, they have to believe that if they're going to sign a contract with you and start sending you money every month, that the money is going to be put to a good use. It's going to be put towards the things that are being promised to them. That, you know, they have to believe that the company has the resources and the people and the technology and the AI and the software that they're being pitched. They have to believe that all of that really exists. They have to be sold on that. And the third sale is they have to buy let's call it the solution or the system or solution, which of course is the specific prescription that you're going to give your prospect as relates to the thing that's going to help them to solve their problem. So they have to believe that that's actually going to do the job, right? And so what we want to do when we're putting together a sales process, we want to make sure that we're building trust for all 3 of these, not by winging it, but on purpose. So we want to engineer those 3, because what we know is when we look at a typical high ticket cold sale, there is a level of high resistance that happens at the beginning of the sale. They're coming in arms crossed.
Especially cold.
Especially cold, right? They're saying, I don't know who you are. Well, you know, why don't you tell me what you got? And our job in the sales context is to build trust as soon as possible. Of course, it's low when we're starting off. What a successful sale looks like is that over time passes during the sales conversation, the trust goes up. I'll shrink that down so you can see a little more. Trust goes up. And of course, resistance comes down. It's at this conversion point right here where trust exceeds resistance. All of a sudden, they've lowered their guard. They're now leaning in. They're saying, wow, you might just be the orthopedic surgeon at the Lakers. Hey, you know exactly how to solve my problem. Here's what's really going on. Here's what I need help with, so on and so forth. It turns out that when in a sales context, when you have this where the resistance is high and the trust is low, that's where you have what I call a transactional sale.
So that's where you're really commoditized.
Right. So can you say more about that, Ruan? What does that mean?
Well, I want to hear from the wonderful gentleman we have on the call, actually. We have Mr. Paul Munko, Mr. Kevin Zapula, and now Mr. Evan Bombera, who all are agency owners. Little verticalized, not completely, but Kevin works in his vertical. So I'd be curious to hear from your guys' perspectives. Kevin, we could start with you on what you think it means to be transactional with a customer. Kevin, I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah, I think that's sort of synonymous with being commoditized, and everything that you're doing is the same as everybody else. and I can find someone to do it for cheaper.
That's right.
So I think that's what we all try to avoid. And I think that's why, in particular, over I think the last decade or so, has become probably a little bit more difficult to be not in a vertical or specialist, because there's so many systems and there's so many things that we need to be experts in. We can't figure it out on the fly. And I think even just that conversation to try and get the guard down, to get the wall down from the client, that happens in the conversation by talking about the CRMs and the systems within the vertical, that they're like, oh, these guys really are specialists. They understand what I'm seeing and what I'm doing, to hopefully not fall into that transactional bucket. But as Corey put in the beginning, be in that premium bucket, which is what I think we're all trying to be in.
Yeah. Kevin, and ideally, like, what's the talk to listen ratio that you want in a sales call? Like, do you want your salesperson doing all the talking, or do you want the prospect doing all the talking?
Definitely not. I don't know what the utopia is by any means. I don't know if it should be 25%. The salesperson speaking or communicating. Or 50-50. I think there is some nuances, because almost everything that we do is through a Zoom or a video meeting. I would say that's a little bit different than in person, but you shouldn't be lecturing your prospects.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Based on tons of studies from Gong and a bunch of sales organizations, the best salespeople, the most productive salespeople, only talk about 20 to 25% of the time. And the rest of the time, the prospect is talking and sharing context and so on and so forth. Of course, in a transactional sale, that's typically where the salesperson is doing all of the talking, trying to pitch them and trying to convince them that we're knowledgeable and so on and so forth. That falls into the transactional bucket. When you get through this conversion that I referenced in this chart, once you pass that point where the trust is higher than the resistance, that's where you go into that transformational sell. That's where the prospect is talking 80% of the time, and the salesperson is just listening and doing active listening and feeding back and asking great questions. So we really want to do what we can as fast as possible. Whoops, sorry, 2080. What we want to do is, as fast as possible, we want to build trust. And so what I'm going to share with you, the 6-slide trust multiplier, does that specifically, but it does it much faster than anything else that you could do. So what we're going to do is, effectively, we're going to move this conversion earlier into the sales process. Sound good?
Sounds good. Corey, real quick before you move on, Evan, I'd like to hear from you. What differences have you seen from a transactional relationship versus a transformational relationship?
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, we got you.
Cool. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, transactional, it doesn't sound like a front that you want to be competing on. I would imagine that's like, they're looking really, what am I getting out of this in exchange for my money? Not really focusing on the long term, like the transformation that they're going to get out of that. Kind of like, how much marketing am I getting in exchange for my dollars? And they're, it doesn't seem like you would be looked at for your value other than exactly, what's being delivered. So it doesn't really seem like a front that you want to be competing on. And then there's just so much competition if you're just selling, what they're getting, like the physical goods and services. Especially when it gets,
No, I align with that, Ryan. And sorry, Evan, excuse me. And I think that the buyer, many of the buyers we sell to, not always, It's not, in some B2B, it's not the case, but in many cases, these are not technical buyers. These are not professional marketers, lifelong marketers who understand SEO and PPC and websites and AI and AEO and all these things. They don't understand it intrinsically. It's not their strength, their strong point. And so when they're going to come in as a default transactional, what do you do? How much do you charge? What are your guarantees? What are your minimum commitments? Like all those basic questions. And it's our job to get them out of that mode and get them into the transformational. And what I'll talk about here, the remainder of our time here, is a process that I call the 6-slide trust multiplier. It's 6 slides. It takes 10 minutes to go through with a prospect. You do it at the beginning of a cold sales call, a discovery call. And as a result of that, you'll get that conversion very, very quickly in 10 minutes, basically. So I'd be happy to share that with the group.
Yeah, let's get it going.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, so here are the 6 slides. And by the way, for those folks who are interested in building with me, we're going to go through the 6 slides. I have it's a worksheet that allows you to actually do this work. You can download it now or later, and you could use it, bring it back to your agency to build these 6 slides for your agency. So you're welcome to scan that QR code, or you can go to trustmultiplier.guide and download that right now. It'll be available to you immediately. So in a typical sales call, and tell me if this is, Ruan, from your perspective, tell me if this is, reflects your experience, but typical agency sales process is you have a discovery call where you're asking a bunch of questions about, their business, what they want, and then you go away, maybe you do an audit and you come back and you do a proposal call. So it's really a 2-step sales process where this is step 1 and then this is step 2. Is that fair?
I'm going to let Evan and Paul comment on that.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Is that standard?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I do things.
The only part that I would add, which I guess is sort of before that discovery portion, is I try to do as much research as possible, which I would consider kind of a 3-step, I guess, because you don't really want to go into that discovery blind like you had talked about, winging it. But that being said, yeah, that's the primary.
So research step 1. I love that. Buyers, that will capture buyers by surprise, because most buyers are like, oh, I thought you were just going to pitch me. You actually didn't think about my situation and you didn't do any research. So I love the fact that you do that. But okay, but generally speaking, you get on an initial call, discovery call, you come back for a proposal and you close on that second call, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to propose that the discovery call is where all the trust is built. This is the call where if you don't build trust in this initial call, they ain't coming back for the second call.
100%. And you don't want that. Yeah. Like if there's no trust there, you don't want to sell something they're not going to accept.
They may say I'll come back, or, or if they do come back, they're just looking for price. Like they're not genuinely going to buy. Of course, the second call is where the sale is made. Okay. That's where you close the deal. So the purpose of the first sale is to really build all that trust. In a typical discovery call flow, you have typically you get on a call and you start with rapport. And this is, hey, Ruan, how's it going? What's the weather over there in Connecticut? What's going on? Do you see the Dodgers win again? So on and so forth. You have a little chit chat, a little rapport, kind of a little bit of small talk. Then you move into uncovering, which is tell me about your current state, desired state, what's getting in your way, what does ideal look like? And then the last step of a typical sales call is you go, okay, great. I have a sense of where you're at, what you're looking for. Let me go and put together a proposal. I'll come back and let's schedule a next step meeting where I can share with you our proposal. Right? That's a typical sales flow. What I'm going to recommend is for those low trust, high ticket sales. Again, these are for when you have someone's coming in from a gift that you sent, a gift-based outbound, or maybe a Facebook ad that they saw, or you just have no pre-existing trust or relationship. I want you to do the rapport, and instead of jumping right into the uncovering, which is you're asking these questions, you want to do the 6-slide trust multiplier, and then you go into uncovering, and then you do next steps. So it is an additional step this is the additional step that I'm asking you to insert. Again, it's 6 slides in 10 minutes. I'm sure you're ready to see the 6 slides, or should we talk more about it? You guys want to see the slides?
Yeah, I think let's get into the content.
Okay, good.
I'm excited already. This is
right.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I haven't seen that before. Inserting that in between. So I'm excited.
Good. Yes. And so this is 6 slides, 10 minutes. I'm going to go through the 6 slides, 6-slide trust multiplier. The purpose of this is at the end of those 6 slides, you will have built a tremendous amount of trust that will transform them from resistant to leaning in, trusting. You'll have that conversion. Okay. First slide is you want to share the agenda for the meeting. Why do we share an agenda for a discovery call? Well, because it communicates a lot of really important things. Number one, that you are a professional, that you work for a firm that has a professionally run sales process. It also puts the buyer at ease, gives them an opportunity to know exactly what to expect on this 30, 45, or hour-long call that they have. It also sets you up as the guide. If you're familiar with StoryBrand, right? We don't want to be the guy. We don't want to be the hero. The client is the hero. We're the guide. So we're saying, hey, here's how we're going to spend our time together. And it also creates clarity and structure, which provides some safety for the buyer. We also want to ask, after you share the agenda of the sales call, what to expect. You also want to ask them, is there anything else that you would like to include or to discuss on this call? Of course, if they have something in mind, we want to know what that is so we can incorporate it into the agenda. So why do we do this? Number one, it adds credibility and trust in the person, right? We had talked earlier about the 3 sales. Number one is the salesperson. When a buyer comes on, they're hesitant, and you have a professional salesperson says, here's what to expect, this is what we're going to cover. How does that sound? That builds some trust with that salesperson. It also builds trust with the company. Okay. So we're starting to build trust for those 3 different sales. Okay. Second slide, you go through the agenda. Then the second slide is the company credentials. That says credentials. This is one slide that talks about why you should believe that we are experts in this space. When I was at Scorpion, when I arrived, I feel really bad for these attorneys who would go on these sales calls. We literally had a 100-slide pitch deck that these poor attorneys who were not marketing experts, we would take them through the history of the internet. What is a landing page? What is a web page? What is SEO? What are keywords? What is all these different things? We took them to this huge educational sale, and it was horrible because these poor attorneys, they didn't need to know all those things. What we were trying to communicate is that we were experts. I want you to use one slide that communicates that through using what I call proof points. And proof points are data that substantiate your claims. Things like number of clients you have, years in the business, average client review rating, retention rates, any kind of data that can help to establish your credibility. And if you are vertically focused, then you also want to make sure that you have things like vertical association badges that reinforce your specialization. I know, Ruan, you guys are big in the manufacturing space in Connecticut. You probably have some really great relationships that establish the fact that you are a true expert in manufacturing, especially in the state of Connecticut. Well, those types of signals need to be on this one slide. By doing that, it signals that you are the safe choice, right? We're not, if you're talking to a manufacturing firm, it communicates that, hey, we understand you. We speak manufacturing. In fact, we've done it a lot for a lot of your peers, and we also are deep with the association, right? It moves you from that vendor to an expert, and you're providing proof and not promises. Every agency talks about how they're an extension of their team, of the client's team, how they try harder, how they really value the clients in their business. Everyone talks about that. What we want to use data and proof points to substantiate those claims. By being able to do this in one slide, you're building credibility and trust with the company. This is all about building trust with the company and being able to establish, again, that we are true experts in the space. So one slide. Then we move into the 3 problem slide. This is probably my favorite slide of the whole presentation. I'll call it 3 pains.
Corey, before you go on to that one, really quick, just go back a slide to slide 2. I know you were having some great momentum there, and I want to just say this comment that if you position the company correctly, transitioning the account to another person becomes easy because the client values the company. They don't value just the founder. So a lot of the times it's easy to sell the person and the service. Like, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to be your forever point of contact. I'm going to help you grow. But in reality, at DevelopMark, at least at this point, we're transitioning more towards, it is me, yes, and Paul and Evan, it's his company. But ultimately, we're trying to position the actual company so that when the transition happens, they still trust DevelopMark, even though I'm not working on their account.
Yeah. I'll do a little drawing here. So when a prospect comes to us, you guys see this?
Oh, yeah.
When a prospect comes to us, they're in pain. There's no world where a prospective client wants to hop on a sales call with us. It's not a thing, right? And so they are over here on their own little island, and they're in pain. And part of the sales process, we're not going to get into this today, but they have challenges where they're currently at. They're struggling. There's obstacles in their way. What we want to do is we want to, as part of the sales process, understand where they want to be. Like, what does future look like? What if I can wave a magic wand? Like, if all your problems are fixed, what does that look like for you as far as leads or revenue or visibility or whatever that is? We want to capture that in the sales process. Okay. And the thing that where founders get stuck is that they end up selling themselves. This is the founder, and I'll make him smiley. The founder becomes the thing that gets them from where they are to where they want to be. That's the default sales pitch. What we want to do is we don't want the founder to be the thing that solves the problem and gets them from sort of the unhappy place to the dream world. It needs to be the signature system. System. That is the thing that transforms them from where they are to where they want to be. All of a sudden, if you're able to position that signature system properly, then you don't need the founder as part of the sale, because the signature system is the thing that solves the problem. It's not the founder, but you have to be able to have a signature system, be able to name it. We're actually going to talk a little bit about that today. We won't go into too much depth, but does that make sense so far?
It does. And maybe we can do a follow-up webinar where it is more about the system, because I definitely agree with that.
Okay, good. All right, let's jump back into the presentation. We have about 15 minutes left, so I want to make sure we give the viewers here as much value as possible. So the next slide, slide 3. First slide was agenda. Slide 2 is company credentials. Slide 3 is the 3 pains. This is where we articulate the 3 pain points that clients and prospects, just like you, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, come to us to solve. So, of course, if we're vertically focused as an agency, which I recommend, Ruan, in your example, you have a specialization in manufacturing. Mm-hmm. The way that you would choreograph this slide is the 3 biggest reasons why manufacturing companies come to us is that they're struggling with these 3 things. Problem number 1, problem number 2, and problem number 3. And you would name those problems that are specific to them. And then, of course, the choreography is, do any of these sound familiar? Mm-hmm. And if you've been able to name those 3 problems in such a way that gets them to have an emotional reaction because they're in the middle of that, again, they don't want to be on the sales call. They're in pain. If you can name that pain that's specific to them in their world, guess what happens? Right? We begin to establish the fact that we are absolute experts in understanding them. We'd never asked them what their pain points are. We've told them these are the common pain points people like you come to us to solve. Do these sound familiar, right? So by doing that, it proves that you understand their world. We're no longer trying to hype up the fact that we're specialists. We've just communicated that we understand exactly what's going on in their world before we ever ask them. Number two is it creates instant relevance and connection, drops those barriers, it builds a ton of trust, and it opens the door to a real conversation. Okay. This builds trust in the salesperson as well as in the service.
So
Thoughts
Corey,
or comments?
yeah. I'm curious if Evan and Paul have any comments on that. What I'd like you to do though is, our pains, right? So I'd like you to actually role play this with me, Evan and Paul, who are all in digital marketing. And, and so like, how would you use this slide to somebody who owns a small agency like us? Like, what would be your 3 pains?
It's a great question. So number one is an overdependence on the founder to drive revenue. That's number one. Number two.
Evan, do you have that problem?
Yeah, considering we're 4 people, I definitely have that problem. Yeah.
Even at 14, I have that problem.
Yeah. Number two, an over-reliance on inbounds and referrals. Right. And flatlining growth. So do any of those 3 sound familiar to you guys?
My biggest problem is number 2.
And so the choreography here is, I would ask you more about that. So tell me more about why that's a problem for you, and we can open up that part of the conversation. All of a sudden we're ditching the slides and now we're just talking about your problems. Because I never asked you about your problems, where I named a couple problems. You said, yes, that middle one, that's me. I go, oh, got it. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Tell me more. Why is number 2 a challenge for you? What's happening? And what have you been doing? Why is that not working? And so on and so forth. So all of a sudden we get into a really rich sales conversation. The other part of the choreography is, I'm also going to ask you, after I uncover everything about why problem number 2 is a challenge for you, I'll also ask you, what other problems are you struggling with? It's very natural to open that up, because going back to the slide real quickly, this slide with the, I should probably share this. This slide, the thing that we do in sales is we know that this is the pain gap. This gap between where they are today and where they want to be, that's the pain gap. Our job in sales is to understand where they are, where they want to be, what's in between, and to open up and spread that pain gap. That's our job. So one of the ways we do that is by naming the pains and getting into a pain-based conversation without it sounding painful. Is this making sense? Is this resonating with you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, on top of like kind of rubbing in their issues and exemplifying them, if you can mention pain points that are specific to their industry and niche, it then just further shows that you know their problems. It just further positions you also.
1,000%. If you could name their specific problems in words that they would use, or that they use to talk to themselves, if you could say that, your sale, like you've created a tremendous amount of credibility, and you know that you've won when you see their body language change. They go, oh, how did you know that? Like, nailed it. I'm in pain right now. So let's talk about this. And you're like, great. I'm the doctor here. I know exactly the pain you're in. I'm a specialist. I deal with this all day, every day. So that's the frame. Okay. Slide 4. This is where we introduce our signature system. This is a named system. It's not the Corey Quinn system. It is the Develomark system, or it is, more importantly, the Connecticut manufacturing lead gen system, right? So it'd be vertically focused naming. So why do you have a signature system? For obvious reasons. It's a proven plan, not a pitch. It bridges the gap from pain to possibility. It is that thing that gets them over the pain gap. not the founder, not the charismatic founder. It is the system that you've built, the IP. Guess what? You can't shop. Guess what? They can't shop. They can't shop your proprietary system elsewhere, right? They have to go to you to get it. And so that therefore is value in that. And it positions your solution as methodical and scalable. So this, of course, builds trust in the company and in the service. One cool thing about this, and it's a nuance, but it's important. Remember we talked about on slide 3 that we're going to talk about 3 problems. Let's talk about law firm problems. And on slide 4, we talked about our signature solution. Well, within the signature solution, there are 3 components. And the 3 components that you want to name are, guess what? We have 1, 2, 3 common problems people just like you come to us to solve. Our signature system has 1, 2, 3 components that are the inverse of the 3 problems. So for instance, not enough cases, we've solved that. We have the 360-degree marketing strategy system. You have poor quality cases or jobs, we have the authority builder solution. And you have low visibility, we've got the visibility maximizer. Our system is built specifically to fix the problems that you have. Right, so it's very, very resonant and powerful. Okay. Slide 5 is you go into a client success story. Ooh, not that. We don't have time to go into it very much right now, but a client success story is the before, the challenge that the prospect had when they came to you, the fact that you put them into your signature system, and then the after, like what was the result? That's the story, right? You have a story framework. And you want to tell 2 types of stories. You want to tell a data story, which is struggling with leads, to at the end, after using your system, abundant leads. So what's the number impact? And then also the emotional transformation. Again, when they're coming to you and having a sales call, they're not in a good space. Maybe they're unconfident. Maybe they're nervous, or they think about having to lay off people because they just can't figure out this marketing thing. Right? What we want them to do, we want to be able to tell that story as well as what happened after they used your system. They're confident, they're expanding, they have certainty with their business finally. So by doing that, by sharing that one story, you deliver proof that your system actually creates results. It's not just you're sharing a relevant story. You have a relatable transformation, and it reduces risk by showing it already works for others. It's not we're going to try hard and we're going to really be a part of your team. It's going to be great, and no guarantees, but we really care about you. To here's a proven system, and here's a story that you can relate to that shows that it actually works. So this builds credibility in the trust and the service. And then the last slide, as we wrap up here, is the tell me about you slide. This is where you go from sharing the 6 slides to enough about me, Paul, or enough about me, Ruan or Evan. I'd love to learn more about you. And then you move into a secondary process I call CDOCI, which is about the discovery. But effectively, those are the 6 slides. I'll tell you really quickly, at Scorpion, we ran a system that was similar to this. I've changed it since then, but it's been improved. But we had 60 salespeople. We did 600 deals per quarter. Half of those were from gift-based outbound or cold prospects. And we ran the thing that was inspired by what I just taught you. We were able to run this, and guess how many of these 300 deals per quarter that were cold prospects? Guess how many of them the founder was directly involved in? Goose egg, 0. So this definitely works across agencies, not founder dependent. And then clients who have implemented this, they have less than a 10% close rate on cold prospects to greater than 30%, average is about 37% impact in close rate just based on running this system alone. So I'll leave it there. Maybe what I'll do is, if folks want to download the quick guide so they can implement this, I'll put this back on the screen. But effectively, that's what I got for you guys. What questions do you have as we wrap up?
Well, I mean, Paul, I guess go and what are your takeaways and what questions you might have for Corey? We've got a couple more minutes, so.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Corey, for laying that all out. I definitely see a lot of value in implementing something like that.
Yeah.
And the one question that I had is, as part of that sort of transfer process from founder to team, essentially, right? Because you're selling the process, and by nature, you're essentially selling the team too. Yep. Do you see value in introducing the team, not being present in the meeting, but showing a photo of like, this is who your web design lead is, this is who your advertising campaign manager is, as part of that sort of process to like kind of build an expectation of who they'll possibly be communicating with as part of the process, or you know, something like that?
Yes, but on the closing call, not on this call.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The temptation is to just shower them and overwhelm them with all this value. Like, oh my God, we've got these amazing people, and check out these dashboards and these AI tools. Like, we just want to communicate in this initial call that you could trust us, that we know how to solve your problem. We've done it dozens of times before with people just like you. Like, that's the gist of it. And once you're able to cross that bridge, they're going to open up, and then you come back with the pitch and the value prop.
Awesome.
Evan, how about you? What are your takeaways, and what are some questions that you have? And then Corey, wait, before you answer that, Corey, do you have that picture of the gift that when you taught me gifting, do you have the picture of the gift that I sent out to that company?
I think I could find it. If you give me a second, you can start going, but yeah.
All right, Evan. Yeah, give us your takeaways. And I want to show Victor the gift because it worked. I mean, it was the first we did. So, but Kevin,
I was surprised you only did it once.
Yeah, well, you know, founder-led delivery service.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Evan.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, you know, that definitely changes my understanding of a discovery call a little bit. You know, I don't really get into too much about us, but I will say, like, you know, I'll always share like who we are and, you know, why you're even on the phone with us right now. So the idea was there, but I definitely don't have anything structured like 6 slides or anything. But I'm definitely going to be implementing that into, you know, my discovery calls, definitely. And, you know, usually like I would just kind of stay away from selling at all. Like, start it really not indifferent because we care about helping them, but like, hey, I don't even know if I can help you right now. Let's understand a little bit about you. So, you know, I try not to do any selling really at all. I end it kind of like, hey, sounds like we could help. Let me take a look at your stuff, and then we'll, you know, I could put together a game plan based on what you told me today. So yeah, I mean, my only hang up is, I mean, we're not really selling in here, but kind of diving into the success story. Yes. I mean, it kind of seems like selling a little bit, but I mean, I don't think any of this would hurt. It just, yeah.
And look, if you're closing deals and you're happy with your close rate, great. Don't change it. Nothing wrong. Like, ain't broke, don't fix. But where this really comes into play is when you, and I don't have too much details about your current business, but as you move outside of the referral-based growth, and you're going to have to do something, right? You're going to have to do Facebook ads. You'll have to do some cold. You have to do some events and so on and so forth. I'm sure you're doing some version of that. That's when you typically have situations where people will have a higher level of resistance. And that's number one. Number two is you may or may not want to always be the person handling these sales calls. And so you want to, because you're the founder, I'm assuming you're the founder. You know, you have some mojo, you have some sort of swagger in those sales calls because you're the founder, like they're talking to the guy. But the minute you have a salesperson who is not the founder, you don't have that same impact. They don't have that same swagger. And so you have to have a way to sort of methodically get them to a place of trust.
That is completely true. And, you know, most of our sales calls I'm on are referral based. So, you know, I could see when you're dealing with cold traffic, when you're dealing with not the founder selling, it's more important to have like, you know, boosters, like the credibility, more ammo on your side. Especially in the first like few minutes when these people owe you nothing. It's cold traffic. They're busy, they want to get on with their day. You kind of have to get this out there so that you even give yourself some time.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly what it is. And this is a way that it's a methodical way that you can implement that doesn't depend on you or your team just kind of winging it, right? This is the actual proven process.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Ruan, I on my screen, I'm sharing those, a screenshot of what you sent.
Yeah, so Victor, Victor asked, what types of gifts do you give your prospects to lure them? Now, keep in mind, this is a big account. This isn't like it's just a little tiny business, but go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so what I teach is a methodology I call gift-based outbound. It's effectively taking a large list of your total addressable market, finding those VIP prospects, the best of the best, and sending them amazing gifts to get an appointment because maybe you don't have a relationship with them. So this is a gift that you put together for a high-value prospect that is these toy trucks. It's home services, I believe. It's a plumbing company.
Yeah. It's a glass repair company.
Glass repair company, right? And so they have trucks. So he sent these amazing toy trucks wrapped in the prospect's branding with a very well-written, handwritten card or letter, put it into a package and sent it to the prospect. I'm curious, Ron, did you get a meeting as a result of sending that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, she immediately emailed me, immediately had the opportunity to schedule a meeting with her. My follow-up was awful because I got busy with Splash Dash.
Yeah.
However, she has to see them every day now because she gave them to all of her leaders. They were looking for something like that. And it's just sitting at her desk. So it was very thoughtful. It cost me $800. So it was expensive, but she'll never forget it.
Yeah, exactly. I imagine if you did business with this company, that the setup fee would be, would pay for this, and then some. So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a low volume strategy, but it is intended to get you the meetings and get you the attention that if you just send an email or cold called them, you wouldn't have the same impact.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone for joining live today. Really appreciate it.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have fun?
Always. With this crew, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Bye, guys.